So Donald Trump gave a speech last night, and here's why you should be absolutely terrified. He didn't pivot slightly to the left in the general election. He clearly went far left. He went way, way left of Hillary on some issues. So he said, to all those Bernie Sanders voters who have been left out in the cold by a rigged system of superdelegates, we welcome you with open arms. We can't fix a rigged system by relying on, and I mean this so strongly, on the very people who rigged it. The Clintons have turned the politics of personal enrichment into an art form for themselves. Wowzers. Now, this is what, the fifth time, sixth time, maybe seventh time that Donald Trump has made overt calls to what he views as disenfranchised Bernie supporters to come to his side. Now, you might mock and scoff and say that's not going to happen because Trump has gone as far as say, I think we're going to get like 40% of Bernie supporters. And that certainly is inflating it. But there are numbers that exist on this, and we crunched them on the show probably a few weeks ago. Not that long ago. And come to find out, it may be anywhere from 10 to 20% of Bernie supporters that do end up voting for him. Now, I get it. You could say, hey, passions are high. They're still involved in the race and yada, yada, and it's early on. And there may be some degree of truth to that. But even if it's the low number of that, 10%, that's fucking unprecedented. That doesn't happen. In other elections, that's not even close to a thing. But Donald Trump, honestly, he's such a wild card that it wasn't beyond him to say, you know what, I'm going to throw out the playbook, and I'm going to go out there, and I'm just going to flat out say, hey, Bernie supporters, I want you on my side. No other Republican would do that. They go, oh my God, socialist, terrible guy, yada, yada. They're not going to go, hey, I want the voters who may also be socialist. But Trump was like, no, I want your vote. I want your vote, and you've been left out in the cold, and the system is fucking rigged, and therefore you should come to me. By the way, Bernie Sanders himself would say, don't be stupid. This guy is a clear bigot. He's a horrible person, and he's just trying to exploit you to get your vote, and he ain't going to do dick for you. He's going to do nothing of the policies that you would want him to do. But it's still a fucking politically clever move to do, man. It is politically clever. And he went on, so that wasn't the only thing. It's like, oh, okay, so is that all your evidence that he moved far left, Kyle? No. He went on to clearly rip money in politics. Now, again, he's totally full of shit. He's lying. In fact, we reported 4 or 5 different stories about how Donald Trump not only is accepting big money, he literally, a donor who was giving to Jeb Bush that he mocked mercilessly in the past and said Jeb is going to do his bidding. He's going to be his puppet. This guy's not going to negotiate for Medicare drug prices because this guy's got a conflict of interest and he's giving him money. That same guy, the CEO of Johnson & Johnson or the owner of Johnson & Johnson, now is controlling Donald Trump's fundraising. So not only is he raising money, he's raising money from the same people that he ripped Jeb Bush for taking money from. You know, it's a myth that, oh, he doesn't take money, this and that. No, he does. He is lying to you when he hits money in politics. It is a flat-out lie. Any investigation into what's actually happening blows up his stupid talking points. But nonetheless, the media does a shitty job. They don't cover that enough. So when he goes out there and says money in politics is the problem, everybody's a puppet to their donors, the Clintons are the worst problem on this front, so vote for me. There are a lot of people going to listen to that and go, totally. So he's portraying himself as the anti-establishment populist candidate in so many ways. Populism fucking works. You know who's not a populist? You know who's nowhere near a populist? Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton is all cliches and platitudes and break down the barriers and people need to know they're not in this alone and people don't trust her when she says shit like that. But Donald Trump comes along and he's going to talk about, honestly, more tangible things like economics. He went on to rant about how we need to rebuild our inner cities and do infrastructure spending. Hillary Clinton didn't even bring that up in her speech. That is just a flat-out liberal position. It is a liberal position. Again, he ain't going to do it, but he's using the right talking points. These things are going to fucking resonate. And then also, he went on in classic Trump fashion at this point to rip outsourcing and the TPP. Now, at one point, somebody in the audience called it PPP, and he responded in kind. He's like, yeah, the PPP, we're not going to do that one. You don't even know the fucking name of it? Now, to be fair to him, he went on to say TPP, but he was reading from a teleprompter. He's a little awkward on a teleprompter, by the way. He's better off the cuff. But and also he's ripped Obama for using a teleprompter a zillion times. So he's a hypocrite in that sense too. But I'm telling you, the words, the talking points he used are gonna fucking resonate. And we all know he's a hypocrite. He gets his ties made in China. He's outsourced himself. And then he rips outsourcing. So he's not even fixing the problem for himself, never mind the country. He could just not have his shit built in China, but he is having it built in China. So he's a hypocrite, but those are the right talking points. And then finally, U.S. intervention. He literally hit U.S. intervention. He goes, look at Hillary Clinton and what she wants to do in Syria, what she did in Libya, what she did in Iraq. Now again, Trump says he was against the Iraq war. We have audio of him on Howard Stern being in favor of the war. So he's just a liar. But people don't know this, the media doesn't cover it well, so he's using these populist talking points, anti-intervention talking points. And he came out so hard from the left that I honestly think we may be in the middle of a political realignment to some extent. Political realignment, of course, meaning that, for those of you who don't know, that like during the civil rights era, there was a flipping of the parties. Because the Democrats, there used to be Southern Dixiecrats, who were the conservatives. And they were super racist. And then when you had Lyndon B. Johnson sign the Civil Rights Act, what happened is all those people went to the Republican Party. And many of the Republicans went to the Democratic Party. There were liberal Republicans at the time, and they went to the Democratic Party. So you had kind of a flipping of the parties. To some extent, that may be happening now in the sense that you get a lot of people who identify with the former paleoconservative wing as opposed to the neoconservative wing of the Republican Party. Paleoconservatism meaning all the standard right-wing bullshit, but they say we're anti-imperialist, we're anti-interventionist because we just want to mind our business. That's kind of, Trump is tapping into that. And part of the paleoconservative movement, one could argue, was also protectionism. Was also, don't do free trade. We're America firsters, so don't send these jobs to third world countries, pay them slave wages, and import cheap goods. Let us make it here. Now, again, that's also just a liberal position, but with Hillary Clinton, who's abandoned those positions long ago, you get the sense that if he keeps hammering trade, he keeps hammering non-intervention, to some extent, there's a weird political realignment going on where on the so-called liberals in the establishment are going to come out and defend Hillary's pragmatism. Her pragmatism on trade, being in favor of NAFTA, which fucking wrecked the U.S. middle class. Her pragmatism on intervention, wanting to meddle in all these other countries. So we're in a weird place right now, man. And I'm telling you, I've been warning you about this for a while now. Anybody who thinks it's a cakewalk for Hillary in the general election, you're dead wrong. This is why it's so important that Bernie should get the nomination. Because, guys, if Bernie takes away all of Trump's positives, period. So that's why he's winning by 10 to 15 points in every poll. Hillary is just fucking a prime punching bag for Donald Trump to come out there and hit her on all her corruption, hit her on all her shitty flip-flops and her positions. Don't get me wrong, in many ways he's vulnerable to attack too, but I don't think Hillary's poised to use the right lines of attack against him. And as a result of that, we may very well be saying President Trump at some point in the near future. So, look, it's too soon to know exactly what's going to happen here, but he definitely has a very good chance of being president, and his strategy that he laid out in the speech last night really, really proves that.